Hey guys, it's Bart Johnson here. In my last video, I did a review of my GoPro HERO3 kit that I've set up, and I actually got a request to go into more detail about how I made the tethers that I made for use with my suction cup mount to add a little bit of additional security when mounting the suction cup to my car. So I wanted to go ahead and address that in this video and show you guys how you can make your own GoPro tethers at home similar to the way that I did. Now, you can make your own GoPro tethers identical to mine very cheaply and very easily. The materials are super cheap and you can pick them up at any hardware store. I actually got all of my materials at Home Depot. So let's take a look at what you're going to need. The first thing you're going to need is you're going to need some sort of wire rope. The wire rope that I used here is 1/16 gauge wire rope from Home Depot, and I got the coated wire rope. I made sure to get the coated wire rope because it has a nice plastic coating on the outside so that the metal wire won't scrape up any cars or anything that you're attaching it to. So I wanted to make sure I got it coated. This stuff is really cheap. I got it at Home Depot for 31 cents per foot. So grab as much as you need plus a little bit of excess. The next thing you're going to need are a few parts to actually create and secure the loops that are going to go at each end of your GoPro tether. So for that you're going to need these. This is a ferrule and stop kit, and what these are small pieces of aluminum that are used to crimp down onto the wire rope and hold your loops in place. The size that I picked up is 3/32, which will accommodate the additional thickness of the coating on my 1/16 wire rope, but get whatever size works for you. These are really cheap as well. I picked them up at Home Depot for $1.37 a kit, and each kit has parts for each end of one GoPro tether. After you have your materials to actually make the tethers, you're going to need a few tools to put them together. You're going to need some sort of measuring tape or ruler in order to measure out the lengths that you're going to want to cut. I did 4 separate lengths of mine. I did a 4-foot, 3-foot, 2-foot, and 1-foot tethers, but you really don't need to do that many. Just make them as long as you think you're going to need. The next thing you're going to need is some kind of wire cutter or shears that are going to be able to cut the wire rope. This stuff is surprisingly strong, so normal scissors aren't going to do it. And be very careful when cutting it, even with the wire cutters, as it has a tendency to snap really quickly and fly off, so be careful. Finally, what you're going to need is a tool to actually crimp the ferrule and stops onto the wire rope once you have them in place. Now, they make a tool called a ferrule crimper, but I didn't want to shell out the cash for one of these, so I just went with a trusty hammer. It's not quite as clean as it would be if you use the actual tool, but the hammer works just fine, and I'll show you how I use that. Now that you have all your tools and supplies gathered, what you're going to want to do is decide how long you want your tether to be. And keep in mind when measuring this out that you're going to want to put a little bit of excess at each end in order to compensate for the loop when you'll be folding it back. I found that about 3 inches of additional slack at each end allows for a loop the perfect size to fit over any GoPro mounting accessory. So about 3 inches extra on each end will work for you. So if you want to do a 1-foot tether, you'd actually measure it out to 1 foot 6 inches. After you've measured out your length of wire rope, go ahead and take your shears or your wire cutters and get to the point where you want to make your cut. Like I said before, be very careful when making these cuts, 'cause it'll snap and fly off when you're cutting it. It takes a good bit of oomph just to get through this 1/16 wire gauge. After you've cut your piece of wire rope to the correct length, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and temporarily slide on the ferrule and stop. You're going to want to thread the wire rope up through one side of the ferrule, loop it back around, pull it back through, and put the stop on just in place to make sure that this is exactly where you want your loop to be and the size that you want it to be. The next step is to actually secure the ferrule and stop in place so that they're not going to slide around and your loop won't change sizes on you. So this is where I decided to use the hammer. All I did was took it outside onto a solid concrete surface and hammered away until the ferrule and stop were both crimped nice and tight onto the wire rope. Once you finish doing the first side, go ahead and double check and make sure that it actually fits, and go ahead and repeat this process on the opposite side. Once you've finished hammering and crimping down both ends, you've completed your GoPro tether. So you can go ahead and make a whole bunch of these very quickly and very easily, and they add that additional security that make you a little bit more confident when adding them to a suction cup on your car. As always guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you liked it, please go ahead and subscribe, and also look us up on Facebook and Twitter.